Okay, this video I'm going to walk you through using some of that constructive solid geometry on creating this part here. It's a fairly common part called a locator. Drafting students draw this thing all the time, all over the world. It's a pretty simple part, but if you look at it, it's made up of different primitives. We start out here with a rectangle, a box, and we add to that a cylinder, and then we cut a cylinder out of it to create that hole. Then we've got another cylinder that's cut out here, and then we cut this out with another rectangle. So it's a bunch of primitive shapes that are either joined or cut to create this. So I'm going to kind of walk you through building this and show you a few tips on a few things. So let's go with a new part, and we want to go with an English standard inch part. Create. Okay, there we go. All right, now if you notice my menu up here, I have a panel called primitives. You may not be seeing that. If you don't, go down here to the right and go show panels. I right clicked there and go show panels, and you can turn on primitives. Once you kind of get used to using that, it can save you a couple of steps. I'll go ahead and expand that because we want to do our first sketch on this XZ plane. All right, because we're going to sketch that box first. I'll go ahead and flip that over just a little bit. So let's just start off with a regular sketch to begin with, and I want to put it on the XZ plane, and it flipped me over, so I'm going to turn that over right there. Okay, now I want to draw a rectangle. I pop it up here, and I want my rectangle. Let me get over to where my sizes are in my notes. I want it to be when you're doing rectangles or circles, you can put your sizes in right now while you're creating it, or you can come back later and dimension it. Either way works fine. I know it's going to be 3 inches long, and then I know I want it to be 2 inches tall. All right. And now I want to constrain this. I want to go ahead and place it so that it's constrained right here. That's going to help me later when I'm doing something. So I'm going to go up here and do a coincident constraint, and I'm going to choose the midpoint of that left side and the center point of the origin. Okay. Now I've constrained that, it's in place, and if you notice down here, it tells me my sketch is fully constrained. All right, so I want to extrude that. Now here's a little shortcut for you. You can go finish sketch and then hit extrude, but if you're done with your sketch, you can hit the keyboard letter E for extrude, and it will launch your extrude command for you there. And I'm thinking, okay, I want it to be 0.75 inches tall. Okay. All right, so I've got my part there. All right, let's go back into that sketch. I'm going to show you a couple of things in the sketch environment. If I go to my tools menu, and I can measure distances. I want to know if I want to know the perimeter of something, I could go, measure loop, and then it will measure that after I click that. If I want area, I can come down and click that rectangle, and it will tell me the area of it. Okay, pretty simple there. So I'll finish my sketch back up. We've extruded that up, and now I want to create a circle, and I want to start it on the bottom surface. Okay, now I can do a sketch and a circle command, but I'm going to go with a cylinder right here. All right, one out of the primitives, just to show you how that works. And it asks you for a plane to create your sketch on, so I'm going to choose that bottom surface. and it's asking me for the center of the circle. So I'm going to choose that midpoint. And for my radius, I want to just go out to the edge of the rectangle. And you see it finished my sketch. It took me right to the extrude command. I just want to change the direction of it. And see, it automatically went to cut when I changed directions, but I want to extrude, and I want it to be 1.75 tall. So it's going up like that. So I'll say OK with that. Okay, so there we go. Now I want to do another cylinder. I want to create the hole right here in the top. We could do it as a cylinder and a cut. We could do it as a sketch. Either way, I'll go with sketch and draw a circle. I'm going to go circle. Okay, circle center point. And I want to come out. Let's see. I want a diameter of 1.25. Okay, so that's good. See, it says I'm fully constrained, so I'll finish that and go extrude. But I want to cut, and I want to cut all. Now tell it OK, and says that cut my hole all the way through both the cylinder here and what was left of the rectangle here on the bottom. Okay, now we're going to do a hole on this end right here, what's known as a placed feature. So I'm going to choose my hole command, and I'm going to do a linear hole, and I want my diameter to be 0.75. I'm going to go ahead and set that first. Now the face, I'm going to choose the top surface here. That's the face of my hole. And from the end, I want to click on this end right here, and it'll give me a measurement to the center of the hole. I want that to be 1.25. 1.2. My keyboard is having issues here. And then from the right edge, I want that to be 1. That'll put it in the center. And all that looks good. Okay. So we can see that right there. And if we notice over here in my browser tree over here, it notes it as a hole because we use the hole command to create it with. All right. Now one way to create the slot is we can create the hole here. We could do a sketch on the top surface to create the slot. But I want to show you if I do the sketch on the end surface, how that cut affects it. So I'm going to go with a sketch on the end, and I'm going to do a rectangle. And a number of different ways you could do this, but I'm just going to start it on this bottom edge. Just be careful not to, if you hit this line and this line, that's your circle. Okay, it's projecting the geometry of the circle. You can do that, it will constrain it automatically, but you may end up with some boo-boos. Okay, so I'm just going to get a click on each of the lines, and I'm going to avoid those projected geometries of the hole. And you can see it applied constraints for me of being parallel to each other. All right, now I need a couple of dimensions. The length of that is going to be the diameter of my hole, which was 0.75, right? Yep. And then the distance from this edge to this edge is 0.625. I believe that was right. Yeah, 0.625. And that tells me I'm fully constrained because I drew that rectangle starting on the bottom surface going to the upper surface. All right, so I'm going to flip it up to here, finish my sketch. Now when I do my cut, I'm going to go ahead and change it to cut. Okay, the video cut off. I had to restart right here. So I want to do the cut extrude of this profile right here. And you can see if I just say distance, it's just going to cut out a rectangle in there. So I want to change this to next. And it chooses the profiles that it could go into. And my terminator is going to be that hole. And so you can see it cuts down to that hole. And I'll say OK. And that made it nice and pretty. Okay, so that's how you do this. There'll be a PDF attached to the assignment that has the measurements and an image of this. But that's just a real quick using different types of primitives or solids to create, whether we're extruding or cutting or joining those different things.